Hello and welcome back to the third rail. We have a new addition to the collection this week. I just received this little AE66 and I thought we should have a first look at it together. Before we set off, if you end up liking this video and you'd like to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe and alert button before leaving today. Super thanks are also available if you feel the content deserves it. Whatever the option you choose will be much appreciated. Many thanks in advance. Now on to our model. This pretty little thing is a Märklin product, of course, model number 3350, released in 1985. A single version was produced, which remained in the catalogue until 1987. The tooling used for the model has a lot in common with the older Märklin 3050, with which it shares many of its parts. The main difference is the body shell. We have a different running number and no chrome stripes on the face of the cabs. On to a few vital statistics. The model measures 20 centimeters buffer to buffer. It is a full metal construction with a zinc die-cast body and a chassis made of sheet metal. The model is fitted with an electronic pre-reversing unit and an electromechanical reversing unit. This controls a large 3-pole motor. That's the LFCM type in Märklin lingo, driving 3 axles equipped with 4 traction tires. Looking at the cab, we have triple headlights. These are always on, and we have a hook coupling. This applies to both sides, of course. If we move to the roof, we'll find we have 2 working pantographs for operation with overhead line. Now let's have a quick overview of the prototype for context. Our model represents an AE66 of the SBB, the Swiss National Railway Company. This was a multi-service locomotive developed originally for use on the legendary Gotthard route. The specifications for this engine were devised in the late 1940s in response to changes on the route. The traffic was intensifying at the time and carrying increasingly heavy loads, which Crocodiles, AE46s and other BE46s were struggling to cope with. 3 Swiss companies were involved in the design. Initially, we had SLM, the Schweizerische Lokomotiv- und Maschinenfabrik, and BBC, Brown Bovary and Company. Maschinenfabrik Oerlikon, the jack of all trades, was involved at a later stage too. 2 prototypes were delivered in 1952 and 1953. These were thoroughly tested. This led to a few design changes, and the first production units entered service in 1955. The technical specifications remained virtually unchanged until the withdrawal of the class. It was designed to operate on 15,000 volt AC with a frequency of 16 3/4 Hz. The class could reach a maximum speed of 125 km per hour on the flat and was capable of hauling a 600-ton train at 85 km per hour on the Gotthard gradient. This capability helped simplify the operations on the route, eliminating the need for bank engines on its steepest sections. All in all, 120 units were produced until 1966. These locomotives were a source of pride for Switzerland, and they were each named after locations in the country. These names were represented by a crest bearing a coat of arms applied to the flanks of each locomotive. The first 25 units were named after a canton, which would roughly translate to district in English, I think. The next 25 were named after the capital city of each canton, and the remaining units were named after important towns or cities located in areas of the network where the locomotive operated. The class remained the star of the Gotthard line throughout the 1960s. In the beginning of the 1970s, the arrival of more powerful engines prompted the start of their redeployment to less glamorous freight duties, mainly on flatter parts of the Swiss network. In terms of liveries, the class was originally painted green. A red livery was applied to some engines in the 1980s. Most units kept these liveries until their withdrawal. In 1999, a reorganization of the Swiss railways saw the class reassigned to the freight activity under the umbrella of the SBB Cargo. In the process, the locomotives received a new class number, the 610. Some units received their new SBB Cargo livery the following years, but SBB Cargo struggled to find an adequate use for the class, and withdrawal plans were put in place a few years later. These were realized progressively until the last unit was finally scrapped in 2013. Our prototype, 11439, entered service in 1958 in a green livery. It was named after Schaffhausen, the capital city of a canton of the same name. It was repainted red in the 1980s, a color it kept until 2008, when it received a SBB Cargo livery. The engine was scrapped in 2013. This completes the high-level overview of the prototype. You'll find links to sources and credits for the material used in this video in the description down below, as usual. Now let's have a look at my 3350. And here it is. We have the traditional blue and orange packaging from the 1980s, which you know I love if you follow the channel. The box is the right one with the correct model number stickers. It's in good shape with a few storage marks and maybe a few dents in the plastic window too. Nothing to whinge about as far as I'm concerned. Let's open the box. Oh, the model looks already very good, but I'm biased. We have an original instruction leaflet and a strip of decals with a series of crests and corresponding locomotive numbers. All pretty original then. Right, let me get a presentation rail and we'll have a closer look. And there we are. This is a gorgeous little thing. I really love the AE66, as you might have noticed. I cannot see any paint defects anywhere. We have a few white spots here and there. These are pieces of styrofoam, or maybe styrofoam dust from the packaging. That will just need to be brushed off. All good. The crest, the numbers and other lettering are all intact. The good story carries on to the cabs. And the other sides too. Yes, this all looks very good indeed so far. Moving to the roof, it's also in excellent shape. The pantographs look new. That won't last long. The silver paint looks intact. Nothing is scratched or missing. All the isolators are there. Perfect. Now, looking at the chassis, this model has definitely seen some track, and quite a lot of it, judging by the pickup shoe, which is a bit worn. But given the overall state of the model, I'd say this is not a problem, and model looks like it's been treated very well by its previous owner or owners. Excellent! Well, so far so good. Right, let's move to the layout and see whether this locomotive behaves as well as it looks. There we are. So I'm going to start by railing the engine, and we'll get you a bit closer too. Okay, so we'll start by checking the reverser. It is working, you can hear it clicking. Now let's try some power. Listen how quiet this thing is. The throttle response is good. The lights are operational going forwards and backwards. Very good. Now let's have a quick peek inside. I know some of you like that. I'll check the tires as well. Looks like one of them is loose. Now to take the body off, we have a single screw located in the center of the chassis. And once it's loosened, the body comes straight off. It's not sticking anywhere, so it's not been drenched in oil or anything. And this reveals a typical and very good looking Märklin arrangement. It's basically the same as for the 3050, with the addition of a pre-reversing unit at the front. And it all looks pretty much like it did out of the factory. Right, I shall do a bit of lubrication and swap the loose tire or tires, and I'll send a loco for a run-in off camera. While I'm doing this, let's talk about rolling stock. Given the color of the livery, we need to find something pre-1980s, I'd say. And we have a few options from the Märklin catalogues. First of all, we have the Einheitswagen, which started to come out in numbers at the time the class entered service. These would be the legendary 4066 and 4068 for the matching restaurant coach. But we could also use the 4138 coaches and the 4146 luggage van, I think. The later Einheitswagen didn't get all rolled out at once. We also have a few freight options. After all, this is a multi-service loco. Maybe the 4691 or the 4698 or even the 4632. Why not? But given the position of the Gotthard route, anything Italian or German used in international traffic would also work. So plenty of options from the catalogue there too, at least for the German side. So I'm going to get a classic combo out, the 4068, which is a Einheitswagen restaurant, and a few 4066s, the Einheitswagen too. I shall rail all this now. And there we are. Now, let me get the locomotive. Look at this scroll. Not bad for a 3-pole motor. Right, let's send it on its way underground loop first for a coupling check. This long train is no struggle for the locomotive. That all looks fine. And we are back. Okay, well, it's time for the main line. Let me set the route quickly. Cool. And let's send it on its way. We're on the main line. I was getting geared up to say all okay, but as you can see, it looks like some adjustments are needed after all. One moment please. Okay, try to. Main line. We remain coupled here. No problem on the snaky bit behind the shed. We're entering the inner station and getting ready for the ramp. We have a slight slowdown. This is normal. The train is heavy and the metal bogies and wheels cause a lot of drag. So not bad given the throttle setting of 100. And we're back. Well, it's time for a bit of fun now. I'm going to assemble another train to keep this one company. One moment, please. Okay, so to keep with the Gotthard theme, I got a Crocodile out with a few coaches. That's a 3056. It's a rescue dog I fixed in a video quite a while ago. I put a link at the top. It's been a bit pimped up since. Let me know in the comments if you can spot the difference. Right, it's time for me to sit back and relax. I won't raise the pantographs today because I knocked the overhead wires in quite a few spots when I was troubleshooting derailments of OC and coaches that featured in the last video. I haven't done any safety checks since, and I don't trust the pantographs would survive the journey at the moment. So I won't take a chance, and I leave everything down. So I shall finally hand over to the trains now. We'll have a look at a few scenes of the two trains in various parts of the layout. Enjoy. I'll join you back a bit later. Well, the new addition behaved flawlessly. This is nice too this way. Not everything has to involve drama. And it's so nice to see the crocodile on the move. I hadn't seen it for a while. Right, we've reached the end of this installment. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, hopefully enough for you to give it a like and maybe even subscribe if you haven't already done so, or even send a super thanks my way if you feel the video was worth it. Thanks as ever for your support, and bye for now.